Sometimes water just doesn't cut it, especially after a long, super sweltering hot day in the summer. It's nice to sip on a fizzy drink from time to time. But for every winner, there is a loser, and for every Coca-Cola, there is an okay soda. What discontinued soft drinks do you wish would make a comeback? Let me know in the comments. I'm your host James, and these are the top 10 sodas you are forbidden from drinking. Then we're kicking off this list with Pepsi Blue. This whole list, by the way, is pretty much the most 90s and 2000s thing ever. The amount of different pop being shoveled out in those decades, just a whole other level. Pepsi Blue had some serious marketing behind it. I mean, it's Pepsi after all, the second biggest soft drink company right behind Coke. Britney Spears promoted it. It was also featured in the Garfield movie, and Papa Roach did an ad for it as well. Yeah, once again, the mid-2000s just oozing from this one. It's actually a pretty rad commercial compared to a lot of the annoying stuff we have today. But Pepsi Blue came out in 2002 and was discontinued by 2004. It was a super sugary drink, way more than a regular Pepsi, combining your classic Pepsi taste with a raspberry flavor, and it lived up to that blue name. The drink was dyed blue with a coloring agent called Blue 1, which is banned in several countries. Suffice to say, it was not the healthiest drink, but that's not why it was discontinued. It was just the poor sales that killed this one. At number 9, we have Orbitz. This was probably the biggest soda flop of all time, aside from another one I'll discuss. Orbitz was a series of Canadian fruit-flavored drinks that were released in 1997, and they're most famous for being kinda gimmicky. They had like little bits of edible floating fruit balls in them, so if you were the type of person who hated pulp in your orange juice, for example, these were a no-go for you. The company that produced it, the Clearly Food and Beverage Company of Canada, described Orbitz as a texturally enhanced alternative beverage, which is just the most corporate explanation for something like this I can think of. I get the texturally enhanced part, kind of dumb calling floating chewy bits enhanced, but I mean, you're trying to sell it, alright, fine. But the alternative beverage part is kind of confusing. Like, what does that mean exactly? Alternative to what? Like drinks that are just pure liquid? What are they trying to say? The drink was healthier of an alternative maybe? Or is it an alternative to drinks that were successful? Must be, because Orbitz only lasted about a year. Bottles of it now sell for about $50 each plus shipping on eBay, so if you want to give it a try yourself, that's your only option. Not recommending that though. Next up we have Hubba Bubba Soda. I wonder why this failed. Bubblegum was absolutely huge in the 80s, and this is the perfect example. It even seeped its way into pop. The fizzy drink came out in 1988 and was exactly what it sounded like, soda with the flavor of Hubba Bubba's iconic chewing gum. Sounds pretty gross, I don't know, I mean, gum is sweet, but there's just something about that just doesn't sound appetizing. I think because we associate gum with something you like spit out, the idea of swallowing a whole bunch of it in liquid form is just kind of puke-inducing. With that said though, if it wasn't discontinued before I was born, I'd have definitely given it a try. I'd try anything that was shown to me on TV when I was a kid. As long as there was an ad with, you know, flashy colors, a cartoon character, or older kids, even kids my age, or just anyone really, saying how freaking awesome it was, I usually believed them and figured my life would not be good if I didn't get it. But Hubba Bubba Soda didn't last for more than 4 years before being canned. At number 7, we have Coca-Cola BlāK. Man, just like look at that logo and try to guess when this drink came out. Bingo, it's 2006. I don't know, something about that design of that bottle just gives me some real 2006, 70 kind of vibes. Is it just me? I don't know. Anyway, Coca-Cola BlāK was sold as a coffee flavored soda, and it also had the caffeine to back it up. It basically swapped the sugar and caffeine content with traditional Coke, so it had double the caffeine, but about half the sugar. Part of the reason why this one failed is because it didn't really know what to market itself as. Was it a coffee drink or a soda? It was technically a soda, but didn't have enough of that sweet taste you'd want out of one, as it was sweetened with artificial sweeteners like aspartame. And if you want to know how I think stuff with aspartame and it tastes, just isolate the first syllable of the word aspartame. I never tried this one. Let me know if you did. I'm guessing it wasn't all that great though, because this wasn't around for long. It was discontinued just 17 months later. Number 6, Pepsi Holiday Spice. I put this one on here because I love that name. Like Pepsi Holiday Spice. You have to say it like that too. Holiday Spice. This one came out in 2004, just after Blue had kicked the bucket, and I guess Pepsi hoped that maybe a new holiday flavor would lift their spirits. A concoction of pure holiday joy, Pepsi with a hint of ginger and cinnamon. They probably hoped that Holiday Spice would be a new seasonal holiday tradition set around the Yule log with a bucket of eggnog on one side of you and a can of this special holiday flavored Pepsi on your other. But that wasn't the case. It was only around that holiday season before popping up again in 2006 and then disappeared completely. So not a great success. Apparently someone liked it though, because there was a petition in 2014 to bring this holiday beverage back, but unfortunately the whopping 285 signatures just weren't quite enough to convince Pepsi to throw it in everyone's stocking for another year. I have a hunch those 285 signatures consisted of everyone who actually tried this drink and liked it, and some of them were likely forged. I think part of the low sales were likely due to the fact that it also kind of looks like a beer can. I'm willing to bet some folks walked into the store looking for some kind of soda and were like, oh, what's Pabst Blue Ribbon doing in this section? Sticking with the theme of this next fizzy drink, I'm gonna stick this smack dab in the middle of the list at number 5, because it's just kinda okay. It's okay soda. This drink, produced by Coca-Cola in 1993, had an odd marketing campaign behind it. It advertised it not based on the taste, but on the feeling, saying that the taste was honestly just okay. It was an honest, transparent marketing campaign targeted at the younger crowd at the time, who were very accustomed to being advertised to. Kind of a cool idea, actually, and the art on the cans features characters with these lethargic looks on their faces. It seems like a strange way to market a product, but it was very of the time. Nirvana had just released Nevermind just a couple years before, and the high octane, over-the-top vibe of the 80s was really trickling out to the more downplayed, self-aware, nonchalant feeling a lot of young people had in the early 90s, or at least trying to embody and get across. So I feel like this was a kind of fit, but the drink wasn't a success, unfortunately, and by 1995 it was gone completely. And at number 4, we have Lifesavers Soda. Wrigley produced these drinks in 1995 in order to compete with Fruitopia and Snapple. They weren't around for long. First of all, out of all the candies, Lifesavers, pretty much my last choice. I'd go with like a Werther's Original over that. I don't know if there are any like die-hard Lifesavers fans out there, but I only ate them when I was very young because I thought they were called Lightsabers, and as soon as I found out that wasn't their name, I had no reason to keep on doing it. Because, I mean, honestly, I just ate them for the name. They weren't that great. Apparently the taste tests went pretty well for this product, but as soon as it hit store shelves, it was immediately clear that this just wasn't gonna work. As sugary as soft drinks are, the idea of combining them with candy, it's just a little too much for most people to handle, I think. And drinking liquefied candy is just, it's crossing a line. Plus, you'd apparently, and don't quote me on this is just something I read from someone who had tried this drink, but apparently there were multiple flavors available, but you only got one flavor per pack. And if that's the case, what a missed opportunity. Play up the Lifesavers thing. Put multiple flavors in the pack, just like you get in like a tube of the candies, you know? God, like it's just, do you really need me to tell you this, guys? All right, taking bronze on this lackluster soft drink list is Mr. Green. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one other than how awesome the bottle is. The mascot there on the front is called Cyber Lizard. Why can't we have stuff like this anymore? Not that people really had it for long back then, to be fair, because this was only around for a little under a year, if that. It was produced by a subsidiary of Pepsi called Sobe, which didn't make soft drinks. This was their first, and unfortunately their last. Apparently it was infused with ginseng and tasted a bit like Dr. Pepper, and of course, hence the name, it was a dark green color. Coming in at number 2, we have Fudgesicle Chocolate Fudge Soda. Yeah, everyone's had a Fudgesicle before, right? A frozen chocolate treat on a stick. Pretty much a staple of ice cream treats on sticks. Chocolate is great. It pairs with a lot of stuff. You can melt chocolate and put it on toast. You can put it on pancakes. Nuts and chocolate is incredible. Fruit and chocolate, great. Potato chips coated in chocolate. pretty good. I've had that. But just like the Hubba Bubba soda I talked about earlier, the idea of this is just off-putting to me. It's not the fact that it's a chocolate flavored drink. I mean, like, chocolate milk is fantastic, but chocolate soda, a carbonated chocolate fizzy drink, I think when you have a pop, you want to feel like it's refreshing, like your thirst is being quenched. It isn't, definitely not, because of all the sugar and whatnot, but at least you're tricking your brain into feeling like you are. But guzzling down a fizzy Fudgesicle when you're super thirsty, that just sounds nauseating, and I really want to try it. And at number 5, we have New Coke. By 1985, the Coca-Cola company was feeling the pressure from rival soft drink companies like their arch rival Pepsi, as well as other non-Coca-Cola beverages. So Coca-Cola came out with an idea to relaunch their classic Coca-Cola taste by reworking the formula and calling it New Coke. Very creative name there. Now, at first people seemed to like it well enough, but that didn't last long. Pretty soon, angry and distraught phone calls were coming into 1-800-GET-COKE at a rate the company had just never seen before. Some folks, especially in the southern US, were saying that the change was an insult to America's heritage, as Coca-Cola was founded by John Stith Pemberton, a Confederate soldier, and that by changing the product to be more like Pepsi, a product manufactured in New York, it was like surrendering to the Yanks, even though Pepsi was founded by a South Carolina man. But the backlash continued even outside of these odd Civil War comparisons, and Coke brought back the original formula just a few months later, calling it Coca-Cola Classic. New Coke, or Coke 2, was discontinued in 2002. With all that said, I'm your host James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.